Red Riding Hood. A very long time ago, even before your mother and father were born, a little girl lived near a forest with her mother and father. They loved her, and so did all the people who lived near to them in the forest, especially the friendly woodcutter who protected everyone from the wolves who roamed around in those days. Now, the little girl had never seen a wolf, and wherever she went, she always wore a little red cape with a hood, which her grandmother had made for her, so people called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, her mother packed a basket of food and said, "I put a fresh bread and dish of nut butter and a bottle of goat's milk in the basket. Take them to your grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood. She's not feeling well, and she is in bed. Go straight to grandmother's house. Don't dawdle or stop to play on the way. Be sure you don't talk to strangers, and when you see grandmother, don't forget to kiss her and ask how she's feeling." So Little Red Riding Hood took the basket, waved goodbye to her mother, and started off through the woods to grandmother's house. She had not gone far before she met a wolf. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "You look very pretty today. Where are you going, and what do you have in your basket?" "I'm going to see my grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, who, in spite of her mother's warnings, was also taught never to lie. "I have some bread, a dish of nut butter, and a bottle of goat's milk for her." "Ah," muttered the wolf, "isn't that nice? And where does your grandmother live?" "On the other side of the forest," answered Little Red Riding Hood honestly. "She lives in the house with the red roof, and she doesn't feel very well, which is why I'm bringing her this basket." "I'm so sorry," murmured the wolf. "Why don't you bring her some wild flowers?" "I promised my mother I wouldn't dawdle around along the way," answered Little Red Riding Hood. "Some wild flowers would cheer up your grandmother," said the wolf, "and it wouldn't take you very long." The wolf scurried off through the trees while Red Riding Hood picked wild flowers. He headed straight for the house with the red roof. The wolf knocked on the door as soon as he got there. "Who's there?" called the Red Riding Hood's grandmother. The wolf hunched up his shoulders and spoke in as squeaky a voice as he could. "It is me, grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood." Even though it didn't sound much like Red Riding Hood, the grandmother called, "Come in, my dear." That was because the grandmother was very hard of hearing. She couldn't see too well either, without her glasses. So the wolf went in, and before the grandmother could put on her glasses, the wolf ate her up in one gulp. Then he put on her nightgown and cap and climbed into her bed. He pulled the covers up over his long nose and even put grandmother's glasses on. Soon Red Riding Hood arrived with the basket of food and a lovely bunch of wild flowers. She walked right in. "Good day, grandmother," she said, and without thinking, she stepped right up to the bed and was just about to kiss her when she noticed something strange. "Grandmother!" she cried. "What big ears you have!" "The better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf in his best grandmother voice. "Grandmother!" Red Riding Hood exclaimed. "What big eyes you have!" "The better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother!" Red Riding Hood declared. "Whatever happened to your teeth? They're so big." "The better to eat you with, my dear," cried the wolf as he sprang from the bed and ate Little Red Riding Hood up in just one gulp. Just then the friendly woodcutter came by to see how Red Riding Hood's grandmother was feeling. One look at that fat old wolf, and the woodcutter grabbed his trusty axe. "I've got you at last, you crafty old rascal," he shouted. With one blow he killed the wolf, and then he cut him open and saved Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. Then they all sat down to a good meal of fresh bread, nut butter, and goat's milk. This made grandmother feel better, and the woodcutter went back to cutting trees. And Little Red Riding Hood waved goodbye and started her long walk home.